This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This is your boy Blak Magus, and wanted to talk to you guys about The Division. It's a game that I am definitely looking forward to. I've been looking forward to it since it was announced. And it's been kind of a slow burn of information for it since 2013 when they introduced us to it at E3. The premise of you being in a kind of I guess dystopian type of era where there's a big huge virus that sweeps through the world and things change. The world's a shell of itself, and you're trying to pick up the pieces and put it back together to the way that things were. You're a part of a force that is tasked with trying to keep the balance, keep the peace, and help, move along the process of reconstructing New York City. You'll run into different rogue groups and things like that are looking to cause chaos, and you're just basically trying to protect those who just want a normal life. Now, one of the things that I've said almost since it began, and it's funny because this is something that I feel like Ubisoft actually did a good job of, but I'll get to that later. This reminds me of a game like Destiny. This is something that I've said for a long time now, as like information has been coming out. I mean, in the beginning, I kind of, we all got the cue that it's going to be like Destiny. If you actually look back at the early advertisements, the pictures and stuff like that, it said on them a massive multiplayer online RPG. That's an MMO. And I know a lot of MMO purists hate when I say this, I understand, having been someone who played a lot of the earlier MMOs, like Ultima Online, EverQuest, Assurance Call, a tiny bit of WoW when it first came out. I get it. I 100% get it, because this is a Destiny, just like The Division, is a game that doesn't follow the pure traditional tenets of MMOs. The thing is, Destiny was one of those games that introduced something that I think we're going to see a lot of now, and we're starting to see it bleed over into other type of genres with games like Overwatch and Paragon, where you're not going to get the straight up traditional version of a certain genre. Like a game like Overwatch is a shooter that is said to have MOBA-like qualities to it, as far as like how they structure their characters and how you unlock them, things like that. I think Battleborn is probably the closer of all of these new quote-unquote looter shooters that we have coming out, or however you want to call it, that tends to bleed more over to the MOBA side, as they have minions and things like that you could send out to aid you in your combat. But you're starting to get a lot of hybrid games, and Destiny was that game that was a hybrid of a shooter with some MMO RPG type qualities to it. The thing about Destiny, and it's funny because I always say to people, I understand completely where a lot of people have issue with it, is that with Destiny, number one, Bungie and Activision weren't necessarily transparent about what type of game it was, and I will say that will always be its biggest failing as to why it kind of, like, the public opinion of it is so sour, is that they talked a lot about how you can get together with your friends and have this experience and go through this wonderful world, and you could find loot. They talked about things like that, but they never openly acknowledged that, hey, this is a shooter that has MMO and RPG qualities that's going to play more like a World of Warcraft experience than your straight up traditional shooter that Bungie for. That was a huge problem because they left it up to people's imagination, and we know how we are now. We see something and we make up our minds what we think it is, and we just run with it. We don't care the fact that certain things might show otherwise. We know what we want this to be, and that's how we fixate on. That's what we fixate on, and that's pretty much what I believe happened with Destiny, and that's why it's going to always get flack. Even though now, like, we all know after a year and a half or so what exactly this game is, and it's starting to shape more into MMO. Bungie is now more acknowledging of that element of it, and have totally started adding even more MMO type qualities to it. But the damage has already been done. Public opinion is just scathing for a lot of people. It's not that way with the Division. I think the Division, they have come out and embraced the fact that they're doing MMO type RPG type things. They've said it from the jump. So if you're somebody who is thinking you're getting a online shooter, like a traditional online third-person shooter, you want to back up a little bit, because this is not what it's going to be. And again, Ubisoft has done what Bungie and Activision should have done. They have marketed and advertised this the proper way so that people will actually know what to expect. So if you're expecting something else, you're kind of blinding yourself to what you are seeing. Now, that being said, the other thing about the Division in comparison to Destiny is that I think one of the things they're going to do better is on content at launch. Destiny, when you play through it, it was cool, but a lot of people got turned off by the fact that a lot of the content they had to re-engage at a really faster rate. Pretty much, it was 20 so missions in the single player. You could run through that in you would have go through a straight sitting in Destiny, probably 6 hours, and then of course you had the strikes, and you can do the daily missions, which may had you redo some of the missions, the weekly nightfall, things like that. It was like most MMOs, you repeated a lot of content, but I guess you ran through the content so fast that repeating it so soon kind of left a sour taste to people, and people were just like, yeah, I'm not trying to do this that fast. As time has gone, they fleshed it out. They failed with the first DLC, and the second DLC they did a better job of it. Now with the Taken King, they've actually fleshed it out more, where they've found a way to do variants on missions and things like that, add quest lines to make people care more about doing the stuff, and the variants on the different missions, adding new missions and things like that, elements and all of that. So they're doing a better job, and now that they're moving to a more free content drop as opposed to the DLCs, it's working out much, much better for them. I don't think the Division is going to struggle to get to its perfect point, so to speak. Like Destiny did, I think it's going to get there a lot faster. I mean, mind you, I do believe that it's going to have some of the traditional quote-unquote MMO struggles. Not when an MMO comes out, it's never necessarily 100% perfect in the beginning, because they have to figure out balancing issues, the mission structure. They have to make sure that it's something that people really are into, and what could make it like a more smoother process, getting all these people together in this world to execute things and whatnot. Especially with the idea of the dark zone, where a lot of people can go in and battle it out for certain items, things like that. You know, those are things that they have to flush out, especially things that may have never been done in these type of games. That being said, I think that they're going to correct it a lot faster. I think the biggest issue or worry with the Division there is technical and mechanical things. Like, one of the things people could never say about Destiny is that on a technical level, it's pretty much been solid, with the exception of the servers on the PvP side, which have had mixed results. You can't say that this game has been a technical mess. It's had a lot of glitches. Gameplay wise, everybody pretty much acknowledges that Bungie is great with shooter mechanics and shooter gameplay. So it's smooth in that area. Ubisoft has a history recently as well of having some busted shooting mechanics. There have been shooters that have come out. The Ghost Recon games kind of got, the last one kind of got a little flack for some of the shooting things. But more importantly, the bugs. The games that Ubisoft have been dropping lately have been very, very buggy. This game can't come out and be a buggy mess. If they wanted to get a good running start, regardless of whether or not people take to the gameplay or not, I think with this game and with all Ubisoft games moving in the future, it has to be playable. It has to be very playable to get a fighting chance. And I think that will help it out a lot. Because again, I do think that this is going to have a smoother launch than Destiny. Again, they've done better marketing for it. I feel like they're going to have a little bit more refinement. Actually, maybe a lot more refinement and a lot more depth and content for people to jump onto in the beginning. But if it's a buggy hot mess, it's gonna get us. It's people are gonna jump off it because again, that's been Ubisoft's reputation as of late in the last few years. So I think that will be its biggest detriment. But I think ultimately, it's going to do pretty good. The technical issues, hopefully they're minimum. That will be their biggest issues. I guess secondary issue would be the Destiny effect. Because again, I do believe that this is going to be one of those type of games that are going, they've said it. That is definitely going to be that type of game. And it might turn off people who be like, oh, this is like Destiny, no thank you. And not give it a fair shot. So those are the two biggest problems going ahead. But concept wise, it seems pretty sound. I think even with those people who have issue with the Destiny style of play, will kind of gravitate towards it because of its more modern, set in a more near future style with realistic type guns and things like that, with a few futuristic weapons types and stuff like that. I think the modern era thing is going to grab a lot of people, even those who have issues with the way Destiny is. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to the beta, which is January 29th through 31st for PlayStation 4 users. If you have an Xbox One, you get it early, which, by the way, I think sucks that your quote-unquote early beta experience for Xbox One fans is the 28th of January. One day. The way that they built it up, I would have thought that it would give them like a week ahead or something like that. In fact, they should have gave them 3 or 4 days at least. It should have been like, if we got it on the weekend, the 29th through the 31st, they should have got it from, say, like the 25th through 31st. They should have got a full week experience at least. But that's just me. But anyway, as always, you guys hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This is your boy Blak Magus, and I'm out. Deuces.